Hello there. Today I'm carrying on with my tastings of wines from Domaine Paul Jaboulet. I'm fortunate enough to be in the Rhône Valley, in the city of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and behind me, about half a kilometre away I guess, is the bottom of the Hermitage hill. Now the wine I'm looking at here is not from Hermitage, it's from the other side of the river. This is a Saint-Joseph, it's 2018, and it's Les Croix des Vignes. Now, I think it's interesting to look at this because Jaboulet have made Saint-Joseph for years. The Grand Pompey, I think, is quite well known, very well distributed. But I think this is quite typical of changes that have gone on here since the property was bought by the Frey family in 2006. Caroline Frey, Jean-Jacques Frey's daughter, was put in charge of turning the property around. And she's done so magnificently, in my estimation, at any rate. Now, Saint-Joseph is an appellation on the hillsides of Tournon, so the town the other side of the Rhône River from Tain, and it carries on along those hillsides up for I think 60 kilometres heading north. These tend to be high altitude, quite steep vineyards, and in this case the Croix des Vignes is a 1.5 hectare plot that has a very stony granitic soil, so it's not unlike the soil at the western end of the Hermitage hill. However, it's actually more stony. I think it's indicative of the changes that have been going on at Jaboulet, because what Caroline Frey has chosen to do is to vinify this 1.5 hectare plot separately to make a premium wine from what is an exceptional terroir. The wine's 100% Syrah, from 10 to 30-year-old vines, in a winemaking process that's pretty standard for the wines of Jaboulet in 2018. The fruit is picked by hand, it's sorted into the vineyard and put into shallow cagettes or baskets or cages, whatever you want to call them. So those will hold just 12 kilograms, so really quite small. And with that idea, the fruit won't get crushed on its way to the winery, and so it will stay intact and it won't start to oxidize unnecessarily. At the winery, the fruit's destemmed, it's crushed and put into fermenters, and it goes to ferment for up to 4 weeks. Now, particularly in a vintage like 2018, where the grapes were harvested at full ripeness, extraction was really quite gentle, so they will reduce the number of pump overs and push downs they did, just to make sure it's a very gentle extraction and they're not stripping tannins out of the wine. The wine then ages in oak, small barrels, French oak, 20% of which are new, for a period of about a year. The other thing I should say in terms of quality is that Caroline has been farming their estate vineyards organically. And in 2016 they achieved certification for all their vineyards in the Rhône Valley. This isn't necessarily the case with fruit they buy in, but for their estate vineyards that is so. And the wines will bear a label attesting to that. The end of the 2017 season was warm and dry, and this caused a little bit of water stress, along with the fact that it was actually quite cool. Bud burst and flowering occurred quite late, and as the warmth continued and the rain continued, there was quite a lot of mildew pressure in the vineyard that had to be very carefully dealt with by spray regimes, which of course you'll realise is much more difficult if you can only use organic sprays. Some rainfall in August helped the tannins to ripen, and then warm weather in September was sufficient to finish off ripening and allow the harvesting of healthy fruit in perfect conditions. So let's have a look at the wine, shall we? First thing to look at is the colour. Now, I would suggest that that is almost opaque, which would lead me to believe that although I'm not told this, that the yields here were very low. The wine is very powerful. According to its label, it has 15% alcohol, and that's causing tears to form on the glass very readily. So let's see what we make of the aroma, shall we? The aromas are more high-toned and perfumed than I would expect from a Crozes-Hermitage. This, given the fact it's just across the valley from Hermitage, not surprisingly has more the Hermitage type perfume than necessarily that of Croix. There's a lifted mulberry, black cherry, red cherry, dark black plum, almost very ripe, concentrated notes there. And at the back of that, there's just a tiny hint, not a lot, but a tiny hint of raisin and ripe dried prune. I'm not particularly noticing either meatiness or or spiciness, both of which I'm normally looking for with the Rhône Syrah. So let's have a taste. At first that seems medium to full bodied. To be fair, it does open a little fairly quickly, but there's still a freshness and elegant perfumes at the very beginning of the wine. But very quickly that comes through to a concentration. You've got dark fruits here, dark plum, black cherry, but actually very quickly it comes into more savoury notes of black olive, graphite and licorice. So there's a real concentration here at the finish. There's enough acidity that the finish stays lovely and fresh right to the end, and there is quite a good length. The alcohol, considering it's 15%, actually seems fairly well balanced. I mean, there is some warmth there, and you're just starting to see a little bit of spice coming out as a reaction between that and the oak. As for the wine's age-worthiness, I think this is a wine that you could easily leave for 10 years, probably 20. I mean, such is its angular concentration and its intensity. I mean, I think there's more to open up in this wine. I had a look at our Wine Searcher aggregated score for this, and it's down as a 92. I wonder whether a reassessment at this stage might get this up higher to a 93, 94, because this is a wine that has the ability to age. It has lovely concentration, it has good balance. I think perhaps when it was a little closed and a little young, maybe one or two of the assessors slightly underestimated it. But it'll be interesting to see how this develops. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the tasting. If you have, do please press the like button. If you want to watch more of these tastings, please do subscribe to our channel and sign up to an alert, and then we can let you know whenever we publish a new tasting video. If you have any comments, please leave those in the comments box below. If you have any friends that you think might enjoy watching the video, do please feel free to share it with them. That would be a huge compliment to us. I will of course leave a link to the Wine Searcher webpage for this vintage of this wine, so that you can follow that. You can see the wine's price, its availability in your market, background details we have for that, critics notes, and any other information that we have about the wine. So thank you so much for joining us, and I do hope you'll make some time and come and join us for another tasting in the very near future. Thanks again. Bye for now.